boys and girls. I'm glad you are here because I am ready to open the storybooks again. Today we are meeting two brothers, Rafael and Pedro. Rafael is 12. Pedro is 8 years younger. So how old is Pedro? Yes, Pedro is 4. And the boys live in Brazil, the largest country in South America. Last year, Rafael's teacher said, "Boys and girls, there is going to be a talent show." Right away, Rafael knew what he was going to do. He was going to paint a picture. He worked on it very hard. He worked on it for more than 2 weeks. In the evening before the talent show, he said to their parents, "I think I might win." His picture was really nice. He put it on his bedside table and wanted to look at it while falling asleep. Shortly after Mom and Dad said good night to the boys, little Pedro got out of his bed. He was thirsty. He went downstairs to fetch a cup of water. As he was approaching his bed, he suddenly tripped and the water from the cup splashed all over his bedside table and all over Rafael's bedside table and, of course, all over Rafael's picture. Before Rafael jumped out of his bed, little Pedro tried to wipe the water with his pajama sleeve. But that made things even worse. The colors of the beautiful picture mixed into one big red, blue, yellow and green ocean. Rafael screamed. Pedro started to cry. "It was an accident. I didn't do it on purpose." That night the boys hardly slept. Rafael was too angry to sleep. Pedro couldn't stop crying. In the morning, Rafael was the only one in his classroom who didn't take part in the talent show. When he came home, he went straight upstairs. He did not even look at Pedro. He didn't talk to him. He didn't play with him as he usually would. He was so angry, he said to Mom, "I will never ever play with Pedro again." In the evening, Dad helped Pedro to bring Rafael's dinner to the room and to apologize again. But Rafael said, "I'm not hungry." For 3 days, little Pedro was trying his best to show Rafael how sorry he was. He sang him a song. He wanted to put a sticker on his t-shirt. He offered him a biscuit. He tried everything a 4-year-old can to show that he really was sorry. Nothing worked. On day 4, Mom called the boys from the garden. "Rafael, Pedro, come out. You have to see this. Daddy, you come too." In a moment, the whole family was looking into a big flower pot. It had been standing in their garden for some time. It was to be empty, but it wasn't. Mom heard a strange noise coming from it, and when she came closer, she couldn't believe her eyes. Guess what she found there? No, not a kitten, not a mouse, a frog. Can you believe it? A frog in a big flower pot. Rafael wanted to rescue the frog immediately, but Mom said firmly, "No one is going to touch the frog." "Mom, we cannot leave the frog there. It is trying to jump out, but it cannot. The pot is too high. The frog needs our help." "No, the frog stays in there." "Mom, why? It is cruel." Rafael could not understand. "Rafael," Mom began to explain, "the frog jumped in the pot by accident. Pedro ruined your picture by accident too. The frog is doing all it can to get itself out of the flower pot. Pedro has been trying all he could for you to forgive him. You want to release the frog from the flower pot, but you do not want to release Pedro from your anger. That's when Rafael looked into Pedro's big eyes first time in 4 days. He gave him a big hug that Pedro had been longing for so much. "Do you forgive me now?" asked Pedro. "Of course. Come, let's take the frog out of the flower pot together." When the boys returned inside, Dad suggested, "Let's do something to remember this special moment." And that is when Raphael made this forgiveness jar. How does a forgiveness jar work? Well, in life, we all get angry with people, right? When you get angry with someone, put the name of that person into your jar. You might get angry when Dad turns off the TV or when Mom switches off your phone. You might get angry with your friend or with your sibling when they do or say something. Sometimes we even get angry with ourselves, like when you cannot tie your shoelaces properly. People do get angry. Even people who love God get angry. But in the Bible, in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26, we learn, "In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry." That means before you go to sleep, make sure that all the names of the people you have put in your jar during a day get out. But just like the frog in our story, they cannot get out unless you take them out. That is, unless you forgive them. Jesus wants your and my forgiveness jars to be emptied every evening. Otherwise, many of our days will be as miserable as Raphael's days when he was angry with Pedro. As you take all those names out of your forgiveness jars, pray and give God thanks, because it is He who teaches us to forgive. And also, let the people know that you have forgiven them. You do not want them to feel like Pedro or like the poor frog in the big flower pot. For your forgiveness jar, boys and girls, you can use glass or a plastic container like this one. Decorate it with anything you find at home. Stickers, coloring pens, beads, strings. Ask an adult to help you. But if you make it simple, you won't need that much help. Make it the way you like it. But most importantly, make sure that it indeed is emptied in the evenings. So may God bless you, my little friends, as you practice forgiveness. Bye-bye.